Hello there, I'm Milo, and today I'm playing Seaquest 1992. And yeah, at this rate, I'm gonna have to change my bio because it says that I play retro games, but I've been playing a lot of modern indie games recently, which is cool. I like it. Hope you like it too. But yeah, this is I've done a few of these itch showcase games game streams recently, and this is one that I've featured before on the stream. I did it on my itch transgender showcase on Transgender Day of Visibility. I also did it on my itch mermaid showcase because it covers both bases. But today I'm going to I intend to do a complete full playthrough of this game because there's no complete video of it online. I think one of the only videos is its trailer. But I really love it, and I think it's a really cool project that's really well well executed and well how do I say this? It's good. I like it. So yeah, here it is, Seaquest 1992. I'll leave it on the title screen just for a little bit because it's got a really cool music track, and that's something I should make people aware of. So like the itch page for this game links SoundCloud profiles for both of the contributing artists, that being Ellie Woods, who's the developer of the game who did everything else on it, as well as CHmod, aka Virusis, who contributed 2 tracks to the game. Both of those SoundCloud links are out of date, and the itch page hasn't been updated, so I'm going to put links in the description of this video for the current SoundCloud profiles of these artists, and you can get the whole soundtrack to this game on Elise Duran, who is Ellie Woods is also known as Elise Duran. Yes, so on Elisa's new SoundCloud is the whole soundtrack of the game, and we've heard the whole title screen track now, so let's get into it. And Gibbons here, hello, how you doing? By the way, trying to figure out how to reset progress in this game was a bit of a hassle. Anyway, okay, I'm dreaming. In the dream, I swim effortlessly and with grace. I feel different, yet familiar. For a moment, I forget that I am dreaming. Too soon, I wake, feeling confused. Day 1. Press space. As I wake, the memories of my people and my village return to me. I remember the sea and the infinite blue of its depths. Somehow I feel like I have forgotten the self that drifted so easily through my dream. These interstitial text scenes were added in a post-launch update, as well as a new control scheme. I'm not sure which of the 2 control schemes is the new one though. Midna. My kitty cat keeps jumping on my desk. Hello, kitty. So there are other people who live in the town. This guy likes to talk about Buddha. 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 That's cool. By the way, this is one of my favorite tracks. This is actually one by CHmod, who now goes by Bill Jobs, and that's where you can find the SoundCloud page under Bill Jobs. But it is on Elise's SoundCloud. Like the track that Bill Jobs did is on Elise's SoundCloud playlist for this game. Oh, it's so good though. Yeah, and you can swim around this little cavern, but there's not really much to do apart from enter those 2 houses and your own house. It's so good. The lo-fi beats are very appealing. So this is the other person you can talk to. Hello. And they like to talk about tridents, to which I am nonplussed. Hey, no chewing my ornaments. Get off. Oh. Okay. Yeah. keep going. Right. So that's our little hometown. People in the background, you can't interact with them though. So let's get out into the ocean. There should be another scene up here, I think. Yeah. Outside, the wonders of the ocean await me. Each day I seek adventure in its depths. I lose myself to its currents, hoping that they will guide me to understanding. So you get a sense of the yearning, the adventurous spirit of this main character. Drip caves. By the way, I should mention that there's a lot of Japanese text in the game. Sort of as an affectation. There's a like copyright or like the notice at the very top of the game before the title screen is sort of humorous if you translate what it says. It's like it mentions that what does it say? I put it all through a translator to be sure, but now I don't remember what it said and I didn't write it down. But it's like, you know, all rights reserved or whatever, but then there's a sort of interjection saying, if you copy this, I will cut you, basically. And some rude words as well. So I'm playing this on a Mac. I'm running it in the lowest resolution I can get that's still widescreen, because you actually get more picture on the screen if you're using widescreen resolutions. And if you go full screen from there, then it stretches the picture, which is not a good thing. And you might have seen up top that I chose between mouse controls and keyboard controls. I chose keyboard, but I've mapped those keyboard functions onto a controller buttons to make it more comfortable for me, which is overall the best option, I think, if that's available to you. But yeah, I think on my previous stream where I featured this game briefly as part of a longer showcase, I tried out the mouse controls, but they're a little bit awkward, and I found them not best suited to my facilitating effective play on my behalf. Okay. So this is an important encounter. So this is all we can do so far. The green people with fishtails swam away. We can't follow them because we can't jump over that rock, so time to go home. And luckily this just warps us home straight away. But yeah, that's how you can see these are people that exist in this world, and our main character dreams about becoming one of them. So I dream again. This time, I'm not alone. I'm surrounded by others like me. We swim freely through the waters. Soon I will wake, yet I wish I would dream still. Day 2. As the dream ends, I feel filled with both hope and dread. Yesterday's encounter is still vivid in my mind. Perhaps the others can guide me in my journey. I like how there's a bed just floating there. It's very silly. Gibbon says, I should really try this at some point. It's always seemed a neat little title. Yeah, I'm glad I stumbled on it. For a game that was made in a short span of time, for a jam, hasn't been updated in 5 years. It's really well realized, is what I was trying to say earlier. And really great in its aesthetics, and it plays well, and just the allegory that it's getting across, it does that really well as well. So yeah, it's very, very, very gratifying to be able to play it on stream, and hopefully I can get through it. So I'm asking about becoming green. Green is not blue. Sad face. So there's a person with a very rigid way of thinking, that things are one thing or another and cannot change. But maybe our Buddhist friend might have some other words for us. Magical green crystal. Blue plus green crystal equals green fish person. Exclamation mark. Direction. You know that lock gate you saw earlier? Happy. And they give us the key. Very nice. So as we make our way back over, let me tell you a little bit about how the game is described by its creator. So Ellie Woods is the creator. They've only got 2 projects on itch. The other one is sort of a multiplayer tech demo thing. No, I believe this... Yeah, that's the same one I saw earlier. That tech demo thing is only available through the Unity web player, which has now been deprecated, so I don't think you can play it anymore. This game is also playable through that web player in the browser, or at least the intention was that it was playable. But again, I don't think it is anymore because that version of the Unity web player is not supported officially anymore, so it just doesn't work. But luckily, there's still standalone downloads for this game on Mac, PC, and Linux. So yeah, it should not really be a barrier to playing. I did encounter one barrier. I was trying out the PC version to see if it ran any better or anything, or if it'd be better for streaming. And through Wine, it launched and ran perfectly fine until I got to a part where there's waterfalls and a lot of flying particles on screen from the frothing vapors of the waterfall. And it slowed to a crawl, so that was not an option for me. But luckily the Mac version works really well, so I should be able to play through this all today. What was I saying? Yeah, about the Unity web player thing. So, Ellie Woods, or Elise, also has a Patreon linked on there, but much like the SoundCloud that I mentioned earlier, as well as their Twitter profile and their YouTube profile, they all haven't been updated since around 2015, which made me a little bit worried. But then when I reached out to Bill Jobs, one of the contributing musicians for this game, or the other contributing musician apart from Elise, then yeah, Bill pointed me to the new SoundCloud, which has shown recent activity. So, you know, Elise is still there. I called her she. I'm not really sure. Like, I don't want to assume, of course, but it's a generally female name, so I sort of think about it that way in my mind, but I do try and not assume. So anyway, here we are in the temple. Ominous echoes clatter through the walls of the temple. It seems foreboding yet welcoming, perhaps because I know within it lies the key to my happiness. So that's temple intro, but inside the temple itself, this is my favorite track in the game, and you would sort of get here naturally during a normal playthrough pretty quickly, so it makes a big impression when it all starts kicking off. Of course, this is also the area where there's a lot of downward swimming, and you find this problem where the camera can take a while to catch up with your character's movement, so that's a little bit frustrating, but it's okay. You're not supposed to be rushing through this game anyway, I think. At least until you start getting chased down a rapid river, but we'll get there, hopefully. And I've practiced bits up to that point, so hopefully my performance is a little better than the times I've streamed this game as part of the showcases. But yeah, this is what I'm talking about, the cycling color palette and how the geometry of the world kind of pulses in and out along with the music. This is... I don't want to say it's the peak of the game experience, but this is the bit where it really makes a good, strong impression on you. And yes, that's a little bit of a bug there. You can sort of get crushed by this rock while you're next to it, and you really shouldn't have been. But again, I'll reiterate that this game was made for a jam, and I guess I should talk about that. So, I didn't even... Alright, we'll talk about the jam first. Yeah, I realized I introduced the fact that I would be talking about how the game is described by its creator, and then I never got around to it because I got distracted by mentioning other things, but here we go. So, yeah, as stated on the game's page, it was created for a jam called Jam for Leelah. Now, this was a project in honor of Leelah Alcorn, who was a young trans woman who who unfortunately took her own life. And the aim of the jam was to promote trans positivity, to create games that had positive representations of different gender identities, as well as transgender identities in particular. As well as, so it was raising awareness for trans activism and trans charities, as well as raising money for trans charities. So it had all these goals, all of them very trans positive, with the intent that no one else should have to go through what Leelah did, and that trans people, especially youth, should be supported and accepted and all that stuff. So yeah, it was a really, really good idea and pretty successful, it seems. There were 21 submissions to the Game Jam for Leelah, including this one. And on the page of submissions, they're sort of by popularity by default, and this one is number 3 on the list. What's going on? Why can't I progress this way? Oh, okay, that was it. I thought that was a dead end with the spike at the bottom, but you could just slip past it. That was my mistake. I said I practiced this bit. I guess I'm... Whoa! Nasty. Nasty. And no checkpoint. That's okay. Doesn't take long. And it's not too punishing either, death in this game. I did eventually end up dying on the boss fight during the mermaid stream, but yeah, that's not going to happen this time, I guarantee it. So yeah, getting hit, you drop 3 triangles, but you do have the opportunity to pick them up again. So like an even more forgiving version of Sonic the Hedgehog's kind of health system. If you get hit 3 times in a row, you sort of quote-unquote die and get sent back to the checkpoint, but you still have your triangle total at that point. If you run out of triangles at any point, like I did in the boss fight, then you will get respawned on a final hit with 0. And then you're in a very dangerous position in this game. However, there's usually frequent opportunities to get more, especially after the boss fight, when there's a segment after that includes an auto-scroller, which has a bunch of triangles in it, and if you die at any point and respawn, the triangles all come back, which gives you an opportunity to gather quite a few, even if you're frequently dying. But from what I've learned from that boss fight, it's a good idea to gather quite a few before you enter the boss fight. However, I have confidence this time because I think I have a slightly better handle on the boss's mechanics, and also I'm using the controller this time. Using the mouse was not the most comfortable thing for me, so I think I ought to do better this time. Let me see. So I talked about Jam for Leelah, which I recommend checking out, as well as, you know, there's plenty of other LGBTQI plus promoting game jams. But yeah, and there's lots of cool stuff on itch as well if you look through the queer tags. which I intend to do another stream on soon. I sort of was meaning to do one at the start of Pride Month, and then I suddenly had other things that I could stream as well, and I did those instead. But there's still another week of Pride Month after this. But then again, like I do like to say, every month is Pride Month, so there's no stopping me doing Pride-themed games any time of year, any old day. And just you try and stop me. But at the same time, I am cognizant of the thing I said up top, which is that I started as a retro streamer. And yet I seem to be playing a lot of itch.io games recently. But that's cool. I'll just have to update my bio, because I'm also not going to stop playing these games as long as they interest me. But yeah, I do miss playing retro games at certain points, so yeah. I'll get to some. I still have a very long list of things I want to play. This music track is really cool. Just how sensory this area is. How things are moving in time with the music. The colors flashing. Oh, it's amazing. And I can lose sight of that a little bit if I'm too focused on swim here, grab that. But it's just a really nice experience playing this game. And it's too bad that Elise never, you know, had any other game projects that were completed to the extent that this one was. Oops. But if you do like the music, then Elise is still making music like this, which again you can see on her new SoundCloud, which by the way I didn't say out loud, it's Leelah, E-L-Y-W-A. But again, I'll put a link to that in the description for the YouTube archive. Okay, so now that I have the key, bit of backtracking. Or was it up here? Yes. So is this it? Oh no, there's a bit more. Yeah, so let's get to that thing I tried introducing before. How is this game described by Elise? So, the itch.io page says about it. Oh gosh, nope, I can't look away from the screen while this is going on. Okay. First of all, there's that little preview thing that itch games have, where they have a tiny blurb about the game. And this game is described there as Underwater Sea Dreams, which I think is very appropriate. But here we are at the magical green crystal, the objective of our quest. Or is it? Psychedelic. Oh, flashing lights and colors warning, by the way. Might be a problem. Sorry about that. So there we are. We've had a transformation thanks to the power of the crystal. And we're not completely green. We don't completely have a fish shell, but our legs or our feet have expanded. We now have the ability to sort of dash through the water, so it's improved our swimming skills. And I thought we'd shifted color slightly, but maybe not. I'm not sure. All right, what does this say? Oh, right, that's the same because we're back in the lobby, the foyer. Wait, why is that here? We're not in the same room. Oh, and you can't look at them twice. Okay. But obviously something's shifted and we have to jump out. And we come back here. Wait. Did I skip through important dialogue? Dang. Oh well. I'll let you imagine how the character is feeling, or pause the video when that came up on screen. Okay, you can see I have slightly shifted color. I'm a sort of teal, aqua, cyan kind of color instead of the deep blue that these people are from my home village. But they want to talk to me and they are barring my way back home. No halfway transformed people. Yeah, I see. So that's just the kind of exclusion that you can feel during a transition process. And that's what this game is about, which I will get to as soon as I read this bubble. The waters grow colder as I swim further from my home. I feel the uncertainty growing, but I know that I must go on. And you can definitely see the color change now that we're out here in the light. In the cold, harsh reality of the Arctic coast. So, let me see. According to the itch page description, Seaquest 1992 is stylized after N64 era graphics, which you can see in the sort of low poly style. Inspired by Vector Man, Ecco the Dolphin. So Ecco the Dolphin clearly has inspired the gameplay here, as well as sort of the aesthetics. Ecco has become a vaporwave icon. Okay, this is... yeah, and you do those sorts of jumps in Ecco as well, and they can be pretty frustrating there. Okay, so we're actually doing really well on triangles right now, so I shouldn't worry about them too much on the Arctic coast, just to get through it a little bit quicker, I think. Although it's hard to pass up a cluster like that. Yes, as for Vector Man, it didn't really use polygons, but it had a pre-rendered 3D graphic style that I suppose is evocative. This is evocative of that, even if it's not using the same kind of technology exactly. But yeah, Vector Man and Ecco are stated inspirations there. Let me see. So there's a Patreon post about this game from after it was launched on the Ellie Wood's Patreon that's linked on the itch store page. And that mentions Vector Man and Ecco, but it also mentions LSD Dream Emulator, which was a PlayStation 1 game with very dreamlike visuals, and it was, I guess you could call it a walking simulator, but it was sort of you're exploring dreamscapes. And bizarre things happen, and you sort of just blunder around, although you can eventually discern a structure to the world. But it's supposed to be very surreal, and yeah, Dream Emulator, that's all you need to know about it, really, as well as LSD. Yes, vaporwave indeed. So, as I swim through the ice-cold waters of the surface, I feel eyes watching from far across the ice. I feel danger, maybe panic. I hope that my resolve will not weaken. That tells us that we're about to enter the boss fight. This is where I had so much trouble, the fearsome shark. But this time, I will definitely do it. So I did a bit of testing after the mermaid stream, which went so badly when I got to this point, and no further, because I ended up dying over and over again. And I discovered something, which is that the boss fight actually remembers the number of hits you've delivered to the shark between deaths. Now, having said that, I'm not sure if a death from losing all your triangles is different from a death, like I said before, where getting hit 3 times in a row will respawn you earlier in the area, because that is what happened to me. I was sort of attacked by the shark, and I ended up kind of glitching and landing out of bounds. Ugh, I missed. Yeah. Oh well. Didn't get the hit on. It's pretty tricky to land the hits with the hit detection, but we're gonna do it. It's fine. So yeah, I was sent out of bounds. I did the 3 hits thing and respawned, and after that the boss still only took a few hits to die, so it remembered how many times I hit it before that. So I'm not as worried now about losing progress in this boss fight particularly, which is a good thing, because I have to assume that death from lack of triangles isn't that different from a respawn from getting hit 3 times. I have to assume that, or I will go mad. There you go, there's a hit. So it's all about sort of saving your dash because there's a cooldown on it. So I'm actually talking louder because the music seems loud to me in this part. That's probably a good instinct. Given, can you just confirm that my audio balance is fine? I always worry about that now these days. I think it's okay. So yeah, as you can see with this boss fight, the shark sort of, there's a growl in the background that you could hear as an indication that it's about to attack. Oh, I still got a hit in. That's good. I didn't think I was going to get one. And after the growl, it'll come in to attack you, and you can avoid that by leaping out of the water while it's on the approach, and that sort of puts it off. But then there's the second kind of attack where it hangs lower and then jumps high and falls downwards and then gets stuck in the floor briefly, and that's when you have a chance to do your dash. And if you do it just right, so that you ram into the shark, you will deal damage to the shark. Yeah, that was a miss. And it, in fact, hit me on the way out, but that's okay. Oof. But you gotta, yeah, like I said, cool down on the dash, so you have to be careful about maybe dashing early so that it's come back and then you come around, and that was a miss. And you can't do it too close because it just doesn't work. And there's really no way to predict whether the shark is going to do a normal approach or a jumping attack. So, oh, okay, come around. No, missed it. That's okay. We have time. This is fine. I'm now at about half an hour. Yeah, ugh. See, I could tell the shark was going to do that because it was hanging lower to start with. Gibbon's telling me audio is fine. Thank you for that. Thanks very much. Okay. So, come around. Maybe it's something about holding the button. I think that might be it. Let's try it. Instead of tapping to dash, I'm going to hold the dash button while I'm doing an attack. Oh, well, that's not going to work. You do need to run up to hit it. I've determined that much at least. Okay, so turn around here. There we go. Clean hit. Very good stuff. Oh. What? What was that? Yeah, you do sometimes have to remember that this was a jam game. It's made by one person, essentially. So I forgive these little kind of glitchy bits, of course. Because the rest of the game is so strong. So yeah, we're getting a few good hits here. This is good. This is making me happy. And indeed, the controller is a lot more comfortable in trying to use the mouse, especially for this boss fight. Right, so I talked about the inspirations for the game, or partial inspirations. One side note to that is that the wording used on Patreon... Oh, that's it. We're done already. How easy was that? My friends, we have completely destroyed the shark and we'll never see it again in the whole of this playthrough. That makes me so happy. Also, don't take what I said just now too seriously, because it might be coming back. So this is the bit where the game slows down a bit in terms of the performance because of the waterfalls. And I'm noticing that even on here on the Mac version, but performance is a lot better than it was when I was trying to run the Windows version through Wine, that's for sure. But yeah, we've cleared the shark and we have our freedom. So this part is supposed to feel very freeing as we do mighty leaps over waterfalls and then come plunging down, and it's very cathartic. Yeah, so on the Patreon description for this game, where Elise had first posted it there, saying this is the sort of thing I do, so this is why you should support me here. Yeah, it describes the inspirations as being inspired by weird old Japanese games like LSD, Ecco, and Vectorman. And not to nitpick, but Ecco was developed in Hungary and Vectorman was developed in the US by Blue Sky Software, creators of Ariel the Little Mermaid for Mega Drive and Master System, as I played recently, and links into this game pretty well, don't you think? Mermaids, undersea exploration. Anyway, I would say that Ariel is closer to this game than Vectorman, but what do I know? I didn't create it. Okay, so that's the waterfall segment done. The eyes still watch me. I feel them nearing with every moment, but I'm no longer scared. I know that they cannot stop my journey. Indeed, indeed, indeed. And here we are. Shark! Exclamation mark. Yes, the shark is back. And this is the chase segment that I was talking about earlier. So we might be seeing this phase a few times because, it's all too easy to die here. If the shark catches up with you, if you slow for any reason, then you're right back at the start, but that's okay. Lucky this track is such a banger, but it's very well stuck in my mind because my initial playthrough of this game, which I did at the beginning of the year, oops, not recorded or anything, I just did it. Well, that was weird. Yeah, so there's my death. Double death, sounds like. And that puts us back here. And it puts you before the screen transition and then you come in. Yeah, but I got very used to this phase of the game due to having to repeat it several times. More than several. But yeah, again, the music is going to help us through. Pump us up. So yeah, that's cool. But I guess to be fair to Elise, Vectorman and Ecco were published by Sega. They had development input by people at Sega in Japan, I'm sure. And that's it's sort of evocative of the time of games that were coming out of Japan. And LSD's a good example of that, but yeah, the consoles that we were using then were all Japanese at that time. It was just after the Western-based console manufacturers had kind of given up and the Japanese companies had cornered the market. Although, I guess it's worth pointing out that Sega is as much an American company as it is Japanese, due to its history. But still, I think it was mainly based in Japan. Yeah. Splitting hairs, I guess. And on that note, Elise Duran is actually Canadian, according to the SoundCloud profile. Oh, nuts. Yeah, but as for what else the profiles for the game say about it, it's clearly... I'll just sort of, what do they say? It's hard because I have to keep my eye on the screen so as not to get eaten by a shark. But also, so as the itch page describes it, it's a story about crossing boundaries, self-discovery, and change, but mostly swimming around and collecting yellow triangles. Which is a very good description, I think, because it shows that the game's not taking itself too seriously. It's still a sort of action-focused game experience, especially right now. But yeah, it is that story about your protagonist changing over time and discovering who they were meant to be. We've seen the crossing of social boundaries with how the other blue merfolk reacted to our sort of first our intent and then our transformation process. and clearly it was made for for Leelah, which it's upfront about, but I think the Patreon description is more upfront about the direct sort of intent and purpose of the game, which, what happened there? I got a strange respawn, actually, and the shark has not appeared. This might be my best chance yet. Oh, I'm in a state of the level where some of the triangles that I got before have still been collected. This shouldn't happen, by the way. Oh! That's where the shark was. Okay. So I guess if you die not from the shark, then you come back in a weird state. But if the shark gets you, then it puts you back, and then the chase starts again. Okay, interesting. I found another bug. How about that? Yeah. So, like I said, the Patreon's more upfront about the allegory of it, saying that Elise described it as my weird game about being trans, and also that it's explicitly about their process of transitioning in a metaphorical sense, and that it has the vaporwave aesthetic, which I've referred to already. That's called out on the Patreon as well. And yeah, that about covers that. Ah! Oh, I almost got away. Yeah, that shark. I still can't believe it snuck up on me from below, but like that was crazy. So yeah, this all goes back to something that Given and I were talking about on a previous stream, how there's this link between the idea of mermaids and the idea of gender transitioning, which you can see in some of the games that I've played. There's the charity Mermaids UK, which is about supporting trans youth, and I think the story of The Little Mermaid is influential in that linking of those ideas as well, because that is a story all about a character who feels uncomfortable in their own skin, and that they were meant to be something else, and they go on a journey to change, and they're successful in that. So it's a very positive message in that way, at least, you know, especially the Disney version, which has a happier ending overall. Yeah, so it's cool. And in fact, one of the games that I had planned for the Pride Month stream, which may still happen next week, if I decide to, is yet another game that's about gender identity and being a mermaid. And I just didn't find it last time, I guess, because of tagging. So remember to tag your games, people, because Itch's tag search is really cool and can help you find interesting stuff. But that is really reliant on people putting as many tags as is appropriate in their game descriptions. Yes. Because that's certainly how I like to find games a lot of the time, is I sort of pick a theme, and then I search through games that fit that theme, and then within that I find ones that look interesting. And with that, I either pick them out or I end up with a showcase of a bunch of them. So I've done that on Itch for the modern games, but I also like to do it on Moby games for retro games, as well as things like Hardcore Gaming 101 and other kinds of databases or repositories of coverage for indie games or retro games. Both. Actually, yeah, HD 101 does both. Moby Games does both, but yeah. The only thing you don't get is retro games on Itch. Although, you do get some remakes or updates of old games that have been either remade by fans or in some cases even officially gone back 2 years later by the original developers, and they've updated them. And I noticed a couple like that in the recent Itch bundle for Racial Justice and Equality, which I featured on a previous stream showcase. So yeah, while you're going through this, it's important to stay ahead of the shark. So using the dash can help, but also it can lead to situations exactly like that, where you dash too far, you get a little bit out of control, you run into a hazard, and then you get eaten, and you have to start again. So sometimes I feel it's a bit safer to just take it easy instead of dashing, because you will stay ahead of the shark generally most of the time. And if you make a mistake, then you just got to do the whole thing again. Yeah. What was I saying? Oh yeah, about old developers, not old developers, but developers of older games going back and recreating them, updating them, reimagining them, or whatever. That's a cool thing. And one I found in the Dolphins tag on itch. No, actually, this was a fan remake, but it was sort of... There's an Atari game where you're a submarine or a diver, I don't remember, who's rescuing stranded divers. Oh no, we're in this situation again. And we know that the shark is just going to get us at a certain point, don't we? So... I'll take this moment to... stretch. Have a breather. The shark is going to catch me. Yeah, so that's one for a future dolphin stream. But since I'm on that topic, there's a bit of news that relates to a previous stream that I wanted to bring up. Yep, you got me, shark. You got me. So yeah, a fair while ago, I played a game called Inner Worlds on my stream. It was a DOS platformer where your main character was a woman who could transform into a wolf. So it was like a werewolf, and I talked about lycanthropy stories in that stream and stuff like that. Although it's not really a curse in this case, it's sort of a shamanistic, it's a willing transformation and not monstrous or horrific at all. But also, yeah, the game is really cool and fun, and clearly a labor of love that was made and self-published by this small indie team led by this particular guy. I should have written his name down because now I've actually spoken to him, and yeah, that's too bad. But anyway, Inner Worlds, cool little game. The developer, the main creative director on it, who pulled this international team together over the internet to make this passion project. Yeah, this guy commented on my YouTube archive of the stream that I did of Inner Worlds, saying, wow, and I was like, oh, that's you, that's the guy. And I responded saying, thanks for watching and thanks for making the game too. And then he replied to that, and there was a bit of back and forth, saying that clearly he's still proud of the game, and Sleepless Software, which is the label that he sort of published it under, they're still around and they're still doing stuff like enterprise software, but also on the side they're still doing some game development. And recently they've taken Inner Worlds and made it available on Steam. So it's no longer... actually, I don't know if it's still freeware available on their website, but it was freeware for a long time. But there is now a way to officially buy it and still support the developer who made it, which is really nice. I like when companies do that. But at the moment it is basically just the game in a DOSBox wrapper that's up on the Steam storefront. There is some nice new sort of cover artwork for it for the Steam release, which I like a lot. But yeah, it's a pretty simple release that is just the as I said, the DOSBox wrapper. But that's okay. It still means that that there's a way to support the developer for the work they did even back then. And I'm sure it wasn't trivial to get something published on Steam, but anyway. In addition to that, there is a plan, he tells me, to maybe work on a more expanded update to the game that's not just that current release, but has been updated and improved and has new graphics and stuff like that. So that would be nice. But I'll keep an eye on Sleepless Software for if that's going to happen. But yeah, here we have boss fight phase 2, Vengeful Shark, where the shark comes back with a vengeance. And as I said, I told you, you should have believed me. I have over 1,000 triangles, so that chase sequence really set me up really well to be well placed for the entire rest of the game at this point. So I shouldn't have to worry about losing all my triangles at any point after this. And man, this boss music is intense, isn't it? Yeah, so I found out from this guy's YouTube comment that Sleepless Software is still around. They have a Twitter, they have a Discord server, which I've joined, and all this stuff. And yeah, I'll be keeping an eye on that for if Inner Worlds does get a more full re-release, which I would be really into. Because I really enjoyed that game. I've thought multiple times about revisiting it and playing the other 2 episodes. As they did in the DOS games, they released them episodically. So yeah, the mechanics here are similar, but there's boulders that are falling down. I don't know if they'll actually hurt me or not. I don't remember. But the music, if nothing else, makes this feel a lot more intense. I think maybe the shark attacks more frequently as well. But yeah, the game really makes you earn the next phase of gameplay with these boss fights. But follow my lead here. Okay, not that. Try and attack it better than I did just now, but when it's following you, you do a little jump up. You can dash to give that some more speed and height. You don't need to. Oh, actually you do need to. I do it habitually, but I just tried to hop up without dashing and found that it did not deter the shark, so I don't know if that's a hard and fast rule, but that might be the case. Yeah, the shark's a lot quicker now, isn't it? Oh, a clean hit still. I'm surprised at how effective that was. Okay, cool. Oh, I can't believe that actually landed. Again, all this music available on SoundCloud. The whole soundtrack put together is half an hour long, so it won't take too much out of your day. But I think some of these tracks are best experienced in the game when they loop around what you're doing. Especially the temple. Listening to that outside of the game, I was like, I want to listen to it again and again because it's so cool. Flashing lights warning, by the way. Sorry. This is going to happen again because this is the second transformation. We've got a second crystal, which has appeared after our defeat of the shark. And here we go. We're now further along in our process of transition. If I were to put my finger directly on the point. But yeah, we can see that our legs are starting to merge, our flipper feet have gotten longer, and our color has shifted more to the green side of the spectrum. And we have a new function. Now I should have mapped this correctly, I'll just read this first. The waters may grow colder even now, but my heart grows warmer the closer I get to my destination. I feel as though I am dreaming again, but I know I am awake. It is a wonderful feeling. So the new transformation comes with another new power. And yes, I have set it up correctly, thank goodness. Now, if you've played Ecco the Dolphin, you'll be familiar with Ecco's ability to use sonar. Now let's see what this says. The light grows dimmer as I delve further into the depths. I think of the comfort of my home, the faces of those which surrounded me. I know I may never see them again. So this is sort of Act 3 of the game. Act 1 was the initial phase up through the temple to the first transformation. Deep caverns. Phase 2 or Act 2 was the whole river segment and the shark boss fights, but now we've got to this phase. We're in the abyss, in the depths of the water, and sonar is a lot more I want to say necessary, or like a core part of just navigating in this phase than it was in Echo, where it was more of an interaction thing and like a special ability you would use in situationally. Now what they've done, what Elise has done here really effectively, and it's really cool, is simulating the pitch darkness of the deep abyssal waters of the trenches in the ocean, and that you have to use this new sonar power just merely to see where you're going. And there are some light sources like this here, which is the entrance to the next cave, and the anglerfish, which are swanning around, and they will try to bite you as such, yes, and it's bad, it's painful, but this is an interesting sort of interaction of the mechanic here. You need to use sonar to see a lot of the time, but using it will also attract the attention of the fish and they will notice you. So if you use it too carelessly, then you will get caught by them and it can lead to them damaging you. So it's kind of a trade-off, or something you have to be careful about in those phases where there's fish around. I wonder if I can throw it off. Nope, once it's noticed me, it's on my trail. See how it's sort of idling over there? If I do this, it lights up the area. Am I right about that, or am I wrong? Oops. Yeah, okay. So luckily there's that failsafe there. I got stuck, but I wasn't actually being damaged. But the game knew that I was stuck and caused a respawn. And I'm back here. Oh no, I'm back here. Okay. Yeah, this part's pretty dangerous. I'm really glad I got here though. I'm actually doing a lot better than I expected, given my performance with the shark in the previous showcase streams. So yeah, I'm happy about this. Whoopsie. Yeah, I'm not sure to what extent that interaction actually occurs, but I definitely have a memory of that being the mechanic, is that you use the sonar and it can alert the fish, is basically how it goes. Now, at the moment, we don't exactly need it that badly because the spikes are showing up glowing. Whoop. Yeah. Oh, didn't quite get a high enough jump. We got stuck again. Oh well. Yeah. Oh, I just love how the sonar pulse illuminates the area. It's beautiful. I don't know. Should I talk about Seaquest DSV? So on a previous stream, I also played another game called Seaquest, and that was the licensed game based on the mid-90s sci-fi TV show Seaquest DSV. Now, this is a show that was very much a Star Trek clone in some ways, especially Next Generation. And it ran for 3 seasons in the mid-90s. There was production problems and changes during its broadcast, and some actors really disliked working on the show and especially the directions that they were taking it later on. So a lot of them sort of left the cast. They had to bring in new ones. It got weird in season 2, that kind of thing. So it's a very troubled production, and definitely not as fondly remembered as Star Trek The Next Generation, for very good reasons, I think. But still, it was an interesting premise, I guess. It was about sorry, they're running gardening machinery outside my window again. I'll just keep quiet until it goes away. Ah, nuts. Oh. Rude. I think it might be a leaf blower. Leaf blowers are one of the loudest things in the whole world or something. They're one of the biggest dangers to ear health. Because to use them, you have to be so close to them, but they're incredibly loud. So make sure you have earmuffs. Oh, come on! Okay, you can actually lure them away, and that fish just flew away into the air. That's nice. Yeah, see that? If I do that, whoops. But of course, if it sees you, that takes precedence. So that's good, you can distract the fish, but it's kind of silly how they just float off into the air. Oh, I can smell it too. They're clearly using a petrol-powered leaf blower. Those things are terrible. I think they give off a lot of unburnt hydrocarbons, which is what the smell is, so they're also really bad for the environment. Yes! I think at my place of work they have a leaf blower for the grounds, and I believe it's an electric one, which is a lot better, I think. Oh, this is so dangerous, especially because it's so easy to die, and then if you do, you will lose a lot of progress. So I don't want to die at any cost here. Okay, be careful now. Dash, not far enough. It's okay, we can take plenty of hits. We have lots of triangles. As long as we don't take 3 hits in a row. That's the key. Oh no, careful. Okay. Yes. Oh, it feels so good to pull off a jump like that. It's so satisfying. Same in Ecco, actually. And some of the jumps that they want you to do in Ecco are ridiculous. They are so hard. Luckily, some of the more difficult ones in Atlantis, you can actually bypass them with a shortcut. So if you're ever stuck in Atlantis, there's a way through. Okay, so here we go. I forgot this part. A moment of silence. And the leaf blower recedes, thank goodness. I feel the loneliness of my journey. The closer I come to the end, the further I am from everything I've once known. I wonder if the destination will truly be as it seemed from so far away. In the darkness of the depths, the light grows ever dimmer. Doug Dimmadome, owner of the Dimsdale Dimmadome. Okay. Oops. The greatest horrors await me at the bottom of the ocean. I feel fear and confusion. I want to see the light of the surface again. The only way left is forward. I gather myself, for I must continue. Alright, so if you get through that section pretty quickly, then yeah, it doesn't take too long. So here's the Dreadful Lantern. The other boss fight of the game, and the final one, I believe. What I mean, I believe. I know for a fact. I've completed this game. I've done it. But yeah, things can get hairy here, and I have to now remember how to damage this thing. Hold on a second. Yeah, so I think the key is hanging at the edges of the screen where that thing can't hit you. Ah! Rude. It's managed to hit me every time. I think we might need to dash out of the way of that lure. I don't think that's how real anglefish use their lures, by the way. To ram things? Yeah, I don't think that's how it is. Okay, this is a laser coming, so if we're at the edge of the screen, then we're safe. Now, what are we trying to do? Okay. So after the laser, the lure is vulnerable. But I don't remember if you have to sonar it or if you have to dash it. I'll have to experiment. I'll try my new sonar technique. Yes, that's the key. There you go. And also this area is very dark. It has some light sources, especially from the angler, but it might be useful for us to illuminate it every now and then. Take that. Yeah, so Seaquest DSV, it's another reason why it's kind of silly is that it's set in the far-off future year of 2018, when the world's governments have sort of consolidated themselves and colonized the bottom of the ocean. All things that obviously haven't happened. And yeah, the premise of the show is that there's this super advanced submarine that the main characters are all crewing, and it's keeping the peace in the fractious ocean waters of the seabed. Take that. Yeah. But the weird thing about the game is that it doesn't really feature any of the characters from the show, and whether that's because they didn't have access to all the production materials or not. Well, I know they didn't, but yeah, the game is very much a simulation kind of tactical kind of thing with action stages, and in the stages you are piloting a variety of smaller crafts for specific tasks. One of whom is a crew member, Darwin the Dolphin, who has a fancy aqualung rebreather so that he doesn't need to surface for water. And those are my favorite stages where it's Darwin specific. But you can choose to use him in any stage, although he's not that useful in a lot of the game. But yeah, weird show. I haven't seen it, but I'm currently reading, well, I just finished reading the novelization of the pilot episode, which was a two-parter. And yeah, it's kind of funny. I don't know. It's cool, I guess. But yeah, there's two more novels after that that are original stories, not based on existing episodes of the show. And I have those lined up on my bookshelf ready to read, and I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, that's just a connection in name only, because the show and you know, the games based on it are not much like this game at all. I think it's just a good name. I searched for it before, and there's a few, you know, several different media things, projects, books and stuff that use the name Seaquest, just because I think it's an evocative name. And I guess nobody is currently maintaining a trademark or something. I don't know. But yeah, there you go. We got another crystal for beating the angler. Oh, maybe some flashing lights. Warning. It seems like a slightly different transformation. And there you go. So that's actually the end of the game, and I did it a lot quicker than I expected. The warmth of the sunset washes over me. When I first did this, I made sure to take screenshots of this screen because it's really cool. For the first time in my life, I feel real. I miss my home and my tribe, but I know they would never understand. Perhaps one day they will see me for who I am. For now, I move on. My life begins today. forgot about this. Okay. Controller doesn't work. This is all mouse driven. Yeah, side B is like the label that Ellie Woods was using. Okay, so wow, I don't even know if I did this the first time I played this. Okay, because I remember when I got to the SoundCloud and there was a credits track, I was like, I don't remember any credits. But yeah, there's all the credits. It's mostly Ellie, of course. CH Mod, aka Build Jobs, of course, helped out on sound design. Apparently, I didn't know that. I thought they were just doing some music. But yeah, good to know. Good to know the credits. That's so cute. That's amazing. Yeah, I love a credits minigame, and that is very reminiscent of the transporting. What do they call it? Teleporting, like the travel segments in Ecco 2, The Tides of Time, where you're sort of moving inwards towards the screen, sort of pseudo 3D. Wow, that was amazing. I wish I could do that again, but that's it. I just saw I ended on 997 yellow triangles, which is a little bit disappointing. Just under 1,000 for the final tally, but it's not a score-based game. It's a game about the journey, about the adventure, about the story. My goodness, I was finished much quicker than I expected, but I actually did get through all my notes, so that's good. Yeah. Given says, yeah, beach party. That was... I'm overwhelmed by that ending. So, great game. Gosh, yeah, it took me multiple hours my first time, so I thought this would go longer, but there you go. That's fine. That's perfectly fine. We're done. That's all I had planned for today, and I'm going to upload this as a video document showing the whole game, because that's not something that exists on the internet currently, as far as I know. So that's cool. So yeah, check out Seaquest 1992 on itch. Check out the SoundCloud of Leelah, Elywa. That's Elise Duran's current SoundCloud page, which contains the soundtrack for the game. And if you're interested in this game, play Ecco the Dolphin, the 3 original 16-bit games, the 2 8-bit games as well. Play Aquaria, which is an excellent mermaid indie game from several years ago with a similar mouse-driven control scheme to this one's mouse scheme. And what else? Flipper and Lopaka, the Game Boy Color game based on that cartoon using the Flipper license. The dolphin levels are much like Ecco. What else can I say? Check out my other Ecco and dolphin-based and mermaid-based streams. But really, this game itself is kind of the pinnacle of art. It's good. It's a really good one. It's one of the best mermaid-based or indie games on itch in general that I've played, and I think it's really cool and well made. And thank you to Elise Duran as well as CH Mod, aka Bill Jobs, for creating it. So yeah, you can check that out. But I also encourage you to check out Jam for Leelah, and especially the causes that it was supporting, as well as other trans, positive, and LGBTIQ charities and campaigns that you can support, especially locally if you can. So that's what this game was created for. So yes, I would encourage you to seek out and support trans youth charities and such. Cool. So that's my stream for today. Thanks for joining me. I had a lot of fun. I hope you did too. And I'll be back soon with video games. Goodbye. Video games. Video games. I've lost my mouse. What shall I do about that? There it is. Okay. See you next time. Goodbye.